Hi friends, it's Nancy, and I am back to do a flip through of this journal that I completed with the 30 pages, the page ideas from yesterday, except there was only 29. Okay, so this little baby measures 4¼ inches wide. It's 6½ tall, and the spine is about 1¼ inches wide. So I have covered the spine with this piece of fabric, and just to make it a little extra grungy, added some tea-dyed cheesecloth. This is originally a French history book. The title means Collection of Various Subjects. I thought, what a great title for a journal. Because what do you collect but various subjects in your journal? What do I want to say? There's 128 pages, and I think I counted 59 pieces of genuine antique or vintage, close to antique ephemera. So, yeah. So there's a lot in here. Let's get started. The inside cover is fabric, the same ticking. This isn't ticking. I think this is printed ticking. It's not woven ticking, so it's a little different, I think. Well, maybe it is woven. I stand corrected. We have ticking. This is vintage, actually. I got it in a parcel of vintage fabrics from an antique store. Yeah. So I will not butcher the title. I'm sure my French accent is abominable. What I thought was interesting was it says it's the 12e édition. Here it says it's the 13e édition. It's the same book. Printed in Montreal in 1917. Here on this page, this is a piece of vintage notebook paper. I added a little bit of torn book page and layered on a piece of a handkerchief. Some hand stitching there, some hand stitching here, holding this collar, which again was also among some antique trims and laces and things that I bought while I was on vacation at an antique store. This I got at a flea market. It's just an empty envelope, but I liked it. I picked it out of a box and I said to the man, I have to have this. He charged me $1 for it. Can you believe that, for an envelope? Anyway, this book page came from an antique book. It was a list of other publications. These two little button cards are attached to this piece of edge of a ledger, and inside I've got this little card. This would have been a calling card, so maybe the ladies went to visit someone and left their names. It says Allentown, Pennsylvania, but that's a different handwriting, so I don't know. And this one contains another calling card with these little birds. This is a piece of tracing paper that's been tea dyed, and I glued, or I decoupaged this really brittle page from an antique book, and added some dried flowers there. I dried those myself. They came out of my garden. They're weeds. This is a 1940s piece, a ledger. This came from a Victorian scrapbook album that I got when I was in Savannah. I just backed it with some tea-dyed paper. Original book page. Here's another ledger document, but this is not antique. Probably would qualify as vintage, but I'd be hard pressed to say that. So this is a doily, a linen doily with hand crocheted trim. This little card, the drumming lesson. This is an envelope, and I added this little tuck spot with a piece that was from a calendar, and inside I have playing children. So this is the size and thickness of a CDV, carte de visite. There's a little handwritten recipe in the back, and inside there's Postcard, and I have just covered the back with some tea-dyed paper. Here's a letter from 1910, and I have added this French vocabulary word and a little fussy cut. There's some more of that recipe and this photo of ladies. And in here I have a label. This is from the 30s, 40s for apricot brandy. I've put some tea-dyed paper on the back of that. This is also from the Victorian scrapbook album that I purchased. Tea-dyed paper on the back. A couple of antique stamps. It says September 28th, 1916. And I've got a little doily here to hold this. This is from 1937. I put some tea-dyed paper on the back. Original book page. Come on, Nancy. This came from a vintage book of embroidery. I just put some seam binding on there and stitched it with my machine. This is a vintage piece of stationery from a shipping company. And I have stapled on this piece of paper from a piano roll. I just stapled a little fabric on the top as a tab. This is a handwritten letter. I've added some antique lace with some hand stitches. Tea-dyed paper, made a little pocket here with some vintage trim underneath. This is from 1932 from Western Canada Flour Mills Company. And the back is blank. This is a page from a vintage French language textbook. And here, this came from was it 1907, something like that, 1906, 7. So this came from a little booklet about common words, phrases in French. So you could get along visiting France, I guess. This is a card from Casa Loma. I have never been to Casa Loma, but it's a little souvenir, and there are pretty guides. I'm thinking this is probably 40s. There's a letter from 1912. Did a little texture paste stenciling on this vintage 1950s, I would say, stationery from the Huddart Parker line, which I think is like Australia or New Zealand. I'm not sure. I shouldn't say. Original book pages. This is a vintage doily. Vintage travel diary. This is some antique lace on an antique business letter. And this is a genuine receipt tag from a shoe repairman in Stratford, I think. Something makes me, I don't see Stratford on here at all, but something makes me think Stratford. This is an antique envelope, which I opened up, made this tuck spot, and inside is a certificate showing that for some reason my camera stopped recording. Anyway, this is a certificate of progress showing how this young lady was doing in 1936 with her shorthand class. Shorthand and end typing, I guess. This is the front of that envelope. And inside here is a label for club soda. This is a antique piece of a hexagon English paper piecing quilt. Okay, I've said all the words. I stapled this little image from an antique book in here. This little card. It has Eugene M. Oh, McGann. Eugene McGann. This, you can slide something in there too, just to tuck it in behind this edge of the doily. And this is a vintage handkerchief with some hand stitches. I've added this. This would have come from a book of postcards, and you would tear off, you can see the perforated edge, you would tear off the big card and send it to someone, and then keep the smaller image for yourself. This is a cathedral in Antwerp. Piece of craft colored paper. I've done watercolor swatches there. This is a page from, I got glue on me, a vintage French textbook. I just patched a little tear up there with some handwritten document that is antique. Tea-dyed check. And I couldn't resist adding this little torn number to the bottom. A couple of pieces of notepaper here. This card is from the 60s, but I grunged it up. It was way too white. This is a cover of sheet music. This is a little hand paint, or not, sorry, I shouldn't say it's hand painted. It's a watercolor of a landscape in Capri. So this is the cover of the sheet music. Some more note paper. Here is an advertisement for a printer. Put some tea-dyed grid paper on the back. And this is the rules for a French card game. This envelope is from 1916, and inside is another image from that vintage scrapbook that I got. I just backed it with a scrap from an envelope. And this flips out. Little pocket I made with paper doily. Inside is this envelope. It has a Victorian scrap on it. Inside is this little handwritten note. It says, "To Iris Bryant from JRB." Oh, come on, Nancy. You know how an envelope works, surely. And on the back it says, "To my Valentine," and has this piece of card cut into the shape of Valentine. Here's a name badge from a school reunion. The student was from the class of 1942. Has somebody's address on the back. This envelope is for photo finishing. And on this side I have a little image. I would say that's probably 30s, 40s, 30s. And on this side is a label for grape juice. This coin roller is from the Lucky Strike Club in Las Vegas. Little lace motif here with a fussy cut. This is some trim from some very dainty tatted trim from a handkerchief that I have stitched on with some embroidery floss. A banking document from the 1880s, and there's a handwritten receipt on the back from May 8th, 1888. Mr. Otis Sanford. Dictionary page. That's the back of that French card game. And the original book page. So, thanks for taking a look at this journal. If this is something that you'd like to add to your collection, go over and take a look at my Etsy shop. And thanks so much for joining me. I really enjoyed making these pages. If you didn't see my video yesterday with the 30-page ideas, also known as 29-page ideas, take a look at that video now. It's a long one, but I think you'll enjoy it. You take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.